After years of development hell, it's finally here. But is it any good? Here's my spoiler-free review of the 2024 movie Salem's Lot. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. Do check out my range of Stephen King band shirts. I'm fittingly wearing my Salem's Lot Slipknot t-shirt for this video. There's a link in the description. You can also find my collection of short stories, Once More Around the Sun, which is now an award-winning collection somehow. I'm very happy about that. You can also sign up to my newsletter and a bunch of other things. But most of all, thank you for checking out this video. So as you know from the title and the intro, we're here to talk about the brand new, at least in 2024, Salem's Lot movie, directed by Dauberman. It's something that has been on the horizon for literally years. And has been spinning around and eventually dropped en masse on the 3rd of October. It's due to come out in cinemas in the UK on the 11th of October. And as for the rest of Europe, I don't know. Sorry, I haven't looked into that. But my plan with this video is, well, to give you my thoughts on it. I watched it, and I have to say thank you very much to my friend across the pond, Bill, who was able to hook me up with a way of watching it on the day it dropped, so I can do this review and bring it to you. It will be a spoiler-free review, so yeah, nothing to worry about. Do let me know what you think of the review, and if you've seen it yourself, let me know what you think of this movie, and let me know, if not, if you're planning on going to catch it, all of those kind of things. I'm running out of things to say now, so let's get into it, shall we? Here's my spoiler-free review of the brand new Salem's Lot movie. Okay, apologies in advance if this review is a little bit haphazard. As I say, I watched the movie last night at the time of recording. I've got a page of notes here, just random scribbled stuff, and obviously conscious of keeping it spoiler-free. So it might not be as structured as some of my other videos, but it's more a brain dump of thoughts from me into my phone, and through the magic of technology, YouTube, to you. So this movie then. Boy, you remember, if you saw my reaction to the trailer, that I was going into this positive, not necessarily expecting it to be brilliant, but at least going in with an open mind and willing to give it a shot and give it a try. And the trailer kind of got me actually excited for it, more excited than I'd been for it in a couple of years. And there were a few people in the comments on the trailer sort of saying that it looked bad and everything. And while I didn't necessarily disagree, I was still holding on to, well, you know, I'm still going in positive. And I went into it positive last night. It's really frustrating to come back and report that this is a massively disappointing film. Massively disappointing. I mean, my key takeaway from this is that it feels really like it's lacking cohesion. It just feels like a bundled together collection of really overly tightly edited scenes that just give you this bang, 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 bang sort of sugar rush, but with no coherent story around it, no building of dread, which I was hoping for from the trailer, and no real effort to establish the characters or tell a story. That's the main problem. It's just lots of mediocre set pieces bundled together and said, right, here's a movie. There you go. It doesn't have any of the beautiful, relaxed pacing of the book. And it just feels so rushed. The pacing is just completely off. It's just way too rapid. And it's almost in an insulting way to the audience, because yeah, we're not in the 70s anymore, but we don't need films to be rapid fire like this, particularly a story like this, that's beauty is in the slow burn, that is in the gradual reveal of what's going on. And I think that's my biggest takeaway, is that it's just been cut to hell. And you can see it's sort of bleeding out and struggling throughout the film. And I don't know whose fault that is. I almost think it's not necessarily the fault of Dauberman, the director, because all of that cutting stuff probably happened afterwards and was probably at the hands of the same studio execs who'd been messing around with this for the last few years. I know that on the day the movie dropped, Bev Vincent, a renowned Stephen King scholar, did tweet that Gary Dauberman had done a 3-hour version. And going into this, I absolutely wanted a 2-hour movie of Salem's Lot, because I think if you get that right, it could be really impressive. And right now, I just don't necessarily have the patience or time to invest in a miniseries. So I was thinking 2 hours, great, let's have it. But this 2 hours feels so rushed. A 3-hour version, I would gladly watch and take. But actually, all of you guys who were saying it should be a miniseries, you're probably right. It should have been a miniseries. This story deserves more. And what we got here, like I said, I wanted a 2-hour movie, but I don't want this 2-hour movie. This is not it. So there were some things I liked about this. And I do want to spend a few moments being positive about it. I liked the fact that we're in the 70s. And I really liked the look and feel of the town. It really worked for me. It felt like a small Maine town. It felt like everyone knew each other. And you could feel the eyes on Ben when he arrived and sort of marking him as somebody who wasn't from there, even though actually he was. But, you know, he had that outsider presence to him. So the town really worked for me. I really liked seeing William Sadler rocking up as the chief of police, Perkins Gillespie. He's aged just brilliantly. Like, he's one of those guys who you can just cast in a King movie now as an older character and he will work. And his performance was comfortably one of the best ones there. I really liked his character. And yeah, I just thought he brought so much every time he was on screen. However, my MVP from the cast was Jordan Preston Carter as Mark Petrie. Loved his performance. I thought he was excellent. He really lent into being a big comic book fan. And we got glimpses of the obsession with Houdini and magic and escaping. Again, these are all things that were just trimmed so much that if you haven't read the book, you won't really know what's going on there. But we see him trying to escape from having his hands tied by his friends early on, and that comes back into play later. And there's various references to Houdini and being the best magician ever. But with all the cuts that are made, it kind of doesn't make sense. I only appreciated it because I know the backstory. But his performance as Mark was absolutely excellent. And he felt like the right age as well. Perfect age for a kid in a Stephen King movie, just about to turn 12, obsessed with monsters and horror and all of that kind of stuff. And just reliable and knows what to do. So I thought he really worked. Also, there was a minor character of Eva Miller, who I thought was very effective, kind of a little bit of comedic relief, and it just worked for me. And I actually liked how Lewis Pullman as Ben Mears looked. I didn't like how his character actually panned out. I thought his character was pretty much just a damn squib, but he looked right. It just worked for me on a very visual level. So those were the things I liked. But there were lots more things I didn't like. So maybe I'll talk about those next. Now, there were some things that I didn't like here that I knew I wouldn't like going into it. The CGI looks terrible. I mean, just stop it. Just do practical stuff. Or find a way of building dread and being creative without just resorting to really bad CGI. But yeah, honestly, terrible. And also the jump scares. I knew there would be jump scares coming because it's Gary Dauberman and he cannot help himself. Salem's Lot does not need jump scares. It needs to build dread and it needs to hook you in and get its claws under your skin. But of course, we got jump scares here. And because I went into this knowing that they would be coming, they didn't even make me jump. They were so obvious when they were going to come. I was actually just rolling my eyes each time there was an attempt at a jump scare because they just didn't land at all. And again, horror can be so much more than jump scares. We don't need them. So bin off the CGI, bin off the jump scares. The pacing that I've mentioned a lot already, it causes problems throughout the movie in terms of you don't get that backstory, but there's key moments, key sort of side stories that have no subtlety to them and don't earn the payoff at the end. So like Ben and Susan, you get little bits of their courting, and then there's just one scene where Susan is in Ben's bedroom with him, and they've clearly been having some fun together. But it's a real just jolt to go from they've been to the drive-in together to they're sleeping with each other. There's no courting there, and there's no build, but it's completely unsatisfying. And also, towards the end of the movie, you suddenly all the characters are like, oh, we can't get hold of anybody in town, no one's around, and there's shots of like overstuffed mailboxes and loads of bottles of milk being left outside. And again, that hasn't been earned. You go from a couple of vampires early on to apparently the whole town being vampires, but you don't see any of it. Again, because all of that stuff has been just cut to ribbons, the pacing is completely on the wrong, and it just messes with the presentation of the whole thing and just adds to that vibe of just like bang, bang, bang. This is just a collection of bits that we're going to throw together in the hope that maybe one or two of them will get turned into a GIF or a meme, and we can say we're done and slap Stephen King's name on it and bang, let's be done with it. Happy days. And it's just so frustrating because it's such a wonderful story, and you can still do a good 2-hour version of this, but again, not with this pacing. Completely wrong. A couple of other things I didn't like, though I won't go into too much detail on for fear of spoilers, but didn't like Barlow, didn't like Straker, didn't like how little they used the Marston house, which was frustrating because the design of the Marston house and the position of it in town looked really good. But yeah, didn't like how little we got of it. And I didn't like the glowing crosses, which you will get to when you watch it. And a weird one, there's lots of these transition shots that are just very strange, like one shot blending into another. The worst one just being somebody opening a Bible blending into somebody opening a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's like, what? Why have you done that? So yeah, watch out for those and let me know what you think. Now, going back to some positive stuff, there were a couple of scenes in particular I wanted to shout out. Again, I'll try and be as spoiler-free as possible. But the shots of the abduction of Ralphie Glick are sort of done in silhouette, and they were very effective for me. But the two scenes that I will take away from this and genuinely thought were excellent were Marjorie Glick, who we get a glimpse of in the trailer, so I knew that was coming, and that scene didn't disappoint, even though it did still feel a bit rushed and a bit tight. But that Marjorie Glick revival scene, which is not a spoiler to say because it's in the trailer, that was excellent. And a little before that, there's a scene that Stephen King referenced on Twitter a while ago. Danny Glick in hospital and a bag of blood. And that's all I'm going to say. Really, really creepy. Again, we don't see anywhere near enough of it. It's sort of blink and you miss it almost. But it was really, really effective. Now, I did spot a couple of Easter eggs. So if you want to skip this bit, then jump ahead to the next chapter that in the description. There weren't many though. But the ones I did spot, we see a shot going past a garage, and there's a car in there that is clearly a red and white Plymouth Fury, meant to be pristine. Ben is explicitly referred to as the outsider at one point, and we see Dr. Cody have someone administer a rabies shot, which feels like a nod to Cujo. But other than that, I didn't spot any 19s, but who knows? If I watch it again, maybe I'll spot some. Let me know if you spotted anything that I missed. So I guess to wrap up, again, really frustrating, really disappointing, and disappointing to have so many people who had written this off before they'd even seen it prove right, because I wanted this to be great. But it's just been too cut, and the pacing is just completely wrong, to the point where this feels like it's a average to bad adaptation of the Reader's Digest condensed version of Salem's Lot. It doesn't feel like a proper adaptation of the full novel. It feels like somebody skim-read the novel and then just tossed out something that just about does the job. And it's such a beloved property from the Stephen King canon that it's just so frustrating. I was all in for a movie, but now I'm just at the point where it's like, right, no more remakes. No more doing stuff that's already been done. King properties going forward should only be stories that haven't been tackled before, and they should be done properly. And yeah, I've already seen a lot of people saying just give everything to Mike Flanagan. I'm sure he'd love to do that. But there's so many talented horror directors and producers out there, just let them do their thing and let them do it properly, and don't cut it to shreds. Don't try and cram it into a time frame that doesn't work for the finished product. And just do better, really. Do better. So there we go, my spoiler-free review of the new Salem's Lot film. Obviously, bit of a disappointment, but hey-ho, we move on. And we've got some original, never-done-before stuff coming up in 2025, so we can be hopeful for those. Do let me know what you think of this movie when you get around to watching it. Keep your comments spoiler-free, though, because I don't want to ruin anything for anyone. And thank you for watching. I hope you found this review entertaining. It's always fun to see me pained and struggling, I guess. Things you can check out, my range of Stephen King themed band shirts. If you want to still claim your love for Salem's Lot, not this movie, just the story itself, you can get your Salem's Lot Slipknot t-shirt. There's some others on there as well. You can pick up my collection of short stories, Once More Around the Sun. No vampires in there, but lots of other scary stuff. And you can sign up to my newsletter, all of that kind of thing. Subscribe to this channel, check out the book club, the new feature where I'm recommending books to you. But otherwise, thank you so much for stopping by and checking this out. And fingers crossed that the next movie we get is much better than this one. Take care, have fun, see you soon.